you got those actions. But speaking of dinosaurs, Tom,
Go on.
dragons are kind of like dinosaurs, aren't they?
It's been a while because we missed a week, man. But I watched episodes 6 and 7 of House of the Dragon season 2 back to back as a mini film.
Okay, that's cool.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Jeez, man. People are giving it a lot of flack for being dialogue heavy and not a lot of action, but there was loads of action
in the last episode. Yeah,
I thought it was. I don't have a problem with you can't have dragon battles every episode. You need the character interactions to make those conflicts more intense when they happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it was called the red sewing.
I do understand people's
choosing,
frustration with Harrenhal and Daemon. That's dragging on.
But
you could have had that in one episode.
I did feel that as well. But then actually, when we got episode 7, Daemon, where it was the Tullys and he was trying to get them on board.
That could have happened so much earlier, though.
Yeah, but I feel like the visions of helping him as a character contemplate his choices for the crown in the past and how he's acted. Yeah. And the fact that then he had to be the guy to swing that sword. Yeah. It does have a nice little character arc to it. Yeah, I'm not saying that at all. If he comes back now in the last episode and joins hopefully with Rhaenyra or the battle, I feel like finally we know that he's fully dedicated to being on that side and he's no longer for himself. So I like that.
I agree. I think there was still value in the story that was being told there. I just think that cut the fat. Like any story, any good story, if the story can be told within 1 hour instead of 2, tell it in 1 hour.
The problem is they're very much being faithful to the source material, and he just stays there in the source material. So they'd have to come up with some kind of side story to do anyway, which is what they tried to do with the Brackens and the Blackwoods.
Or just don't have as many episodes.
You could just cut him out.
Yeah, you don't have to have as many episodes of him focusing on him.
You could just not have him in it. They haven't had Otto Hightower in it for a bit, and they've just said, haven't they? Yeah. Aemond, who's now going all out as trying to be their ruler, basically. It was I want Otto Hightower back as the hand, which was quite cool.
I loved the scene in the latest episode on the small folk approaching those dragons. I was on the edge of my seat, literally on the edge of my seat, holding my breath throughout that entire...
The first time it happened was because obviously I watched this back to back, so it's going to be hard for me to remember what was in each one. Yeah. I remember when they all approached, when that guy called Stefan Darkling, part of the Queen's Guard, approached Sea Smoke, and he was like, I've done it. Oh, and then he just got torched, mate. Scorched, absolutely scorched, yeah. What were you thinking at that moment?
I knew he wasn't going to do it, but then there was like a tiny little hint of like, oh, maybe, and then nope.
And then we obviously got 2 characters in the Red Sewing getting dragons. One was Hugh the Hammer, the blacksmith,
who is apparently the grandson of
Jaehaerys,
which is the father of...
I don't think he was the father. I think he was the uncle, but he was
the uncle,
the king before Viserys.
He was. Yeah,
and he's cool. He's a cool character.
Yeah, I like it. I liked it. But then you've also got this random guy who I thought in the pub was just bullshit. Everyone.
My wife who I watched it with, he's called Ulf, isn't he?
Yeah.
And everyone, my wife who was watching it with, was like, he's going to get burnt. There's no way.
He's going to die.
And then she was like, what the hell? And I was like, sometimes those drunks at the pub are just telling the truth.
Like, it's mad. It was absolutely
it's the way
crazy.
He did it. He was just sitting there like, he was basically resigned to the fact he was going to die. Then he looked up and he was like,
wait, what?
And then you see him flying over King's Landing, and he's just like, like laughing,
which
as
is
he rides.
mental.
What did you think? What did you think at that scene then?
So he obviously came into that thing, and I don't know what dragon that is. I think it would. For some reason, I thought, is it the wild dragon that they were talking about?
No, that dragon's called Silverwing, and that was just a one that hadn't been ridden for a while. I think it might have been. It was either Viserys' wife's dragon, or another previous Targaryen's dragon.
Because he wandered in, and then.
But he did say in one of the older episodes, he was in the pub, and he said that. So basically, Viserys and I think either Jaehaerys had a younger brother or a brother that died, or Viserys and Daemon might have had an older brother. I don't know. It was one of those, and he's the bastard of them.
Right.
But that's what he was saying. But nobody believed him.
Yeah. I don't think he believed it himself. I think he might have just thought it or connected the dots, but didn't really truly believe it himself.
Go through your thoughts then when you were watching those two claim the dragons, because you didn't know that this was going to happen. Obviously, I knew it was going to happen.
Oh yeah, you did. So when it started when
all the people started getting burnt.
Yeah, what was the dragon called?
Vermithor,
that's it.
The Bronze Fury.
Yeah, the Bronze Fury. When he started burning everyone, I was like, oh, that's it. Like it's, and then when it started following Hammer down the stairs, I was like, okay, it's following him. The camera's following him. The story's following him. Okay, something's going to go down with it. I hope to God. And he hid behind the rock, and I was like, oh my God, I was so tense. I was just like, is he going to die? Is he not? And then he shouts at the dragon for saving Thingy. And then I thought, okay, maybe the dragon respects the fact that he's going up against him. Maybe that's the reason. And then obviously I found out later on that he's potentially the grandson of Jaehaerys. But that whole scene, I was like, this is fucking badass.
Yeah,
I was just oh my God.
And he had,
you see Rhaenyra at the top when he's facing,
and he did kind of have the tiniest bit of a smile at the end.
Yeah.
And what makes him and Ulf so cool as dragon riders or as characters is that they only have allegiances to themselves. I know they've joined Rhaenyra, but like the reason why Hugh the Hammer and the other guy gave up is because they were all basically starving to death in King's Landing, weren't they? They had their his daughter or son, can't remember which one, died. Yeah,
I would say Ulf is more so for himself. I think Hammer appreciates Rhaenyra or respects Rhaenyra because of the food that she sent.
Yeah. Although Ulf did say that he was for Rhaenyra, the rightful queen, as well.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, well, Ulf.
When he was in the pub.
Yeah, I guess so. But I think Ulf would be a wild card. I think he could get power hungry after whatever goes down, maybe. And when Ulf walked into that cave, I saw the dragon immediately.
Even I thought he was going to get eaten.
I was like, oh my God, you're screwed, mate. You're screwed. And then he steps in the thing. I was like,
it reminded me a bit.
Even
speaking
more
of Jurassic
screwed.
Park earlier, it reminded me of like being in there with the Velociraptors.
I did think that. Well, I wouldn't say I didn't
or like
think
being
the
in there with.
But I just thought Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
I just thought Jurassic Park. I was like,
dark. It was,
and he was pushing him. He was toying with him, and then he just didn't get burnt. I was like, no freaking way, man. No way was he telling the truth.
And then obviously in the episode before, Adam of Hull got sea smoke as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
And then Corlys came to see him and he just said, well done, and then walked out.
Does he know, do you think?
They both know.
They both know. But they just both don't want to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
But does he know about the other guy, the guy's brother?
Yeah, that's why he elevated him. That's why he brought him up, I think.
He brought him up because he saved his life.
Yeah, but remember when
he
went to speak to him and Rhaenys was watching that time, or saw him speaking to him.
Well, Rhaenys was watching.
Yeah, I think he knows. I think he definitely knows.
Really?
Yeah.
But he said, but didn't he question whether because he's his brother, he was just like, well, you're his brother, don't you want to try? And he was just like, I'm the Sea of Soul.
Yeah, but he's saying that because he knows he's got his blood.
I know he's saying that, but do you think obviously his father knows?
Yeah, I think he does.
If they both do, then what the fuck is this? Because this just cryptic. Just say it.
Because remember as well, at the moment, they've got a younger. Jacaerys Valerion, or Jace, has got a younger brother called Joffrey that's been sent away with Baelor Targaryen, who's called Joffrey Valerion, and that's who, because their second name's still Valerion, that's who Corlys wants to be the heir to Driftmark.
Yeah.
Not the new guy, I guess. But all I'm saying is just watch, man.
Just watch.
But it's so good, isn't it? It's that they've got 3 more dragons, and Aemond went over with Vhagar, and now he's like,
I do feel that this season so far, I know we've got one more episode, I do feel that in terms, there's a lot more fat here than in the season 1.
But I like it. You get more time with different characters, and that's what Game of Thrones was always about. You don't know who lives, you don't know who dies, you don't know who to follow. But
I just hope they end on a bang.
Yeah, I love how the Dance of Dragons this time period is about how the Targaryens messed up they killed all the dragons off and messed everything up, and and I liked how you saw a hint of that in this, in that the keepers of the dragons basically were like, we don't want any part in this. Yeah. And now they're just giving them off. Yeah. They're giving the dragons off to random people, so they don't know how it's going to go, do they?
Yeah, it's the fall of the dragons.
One thing as well that I liked from these 2 episodes was Laris going to see Aegon and saying about his little backstory about him being born with the twisted foot or the club foot, and trying to say, "Oh, you're wrecked now, but you've got
people
to use your
will
mind."
underestimate you.
And he also told him, "Your brother wants to kill you."
Yeah,
which is cool as well.
And the fact that you will be looked down upon and you will be underestimated for it.
Yeah. One thing I got no idea about is what Alicent's doing out in the woods.
I think she's given up.
Do you reckon?
I think she has come to terms with the fact that she has created this chaos herself, her own being, and she's trying to find peace.
Actually, my favourite interaction was between her and her brother when she said, "Oh, how's my other son, Daron?"
And he's like, "Oh, he's kind.
He's actually kind," and she feels like she's made her other sons messed up. Yeah. I think the reason they're talking about him more and more is because he's going to come into it, isn't he?
Yeah, no, I agree. But yeah, what an episode! Last episode. Like almost a rewatchable episode. I could rewatch it again. But final episode next week. We'll see what happens.
I hope we get a battle.
Same. It needs to end on a bang. In order to,
I think it might be a battle based on what happens in the books, but they might deviate.
I feel like the season needs it.
We did get a good. We already had a good battle,
but the season started off really well with the assassinations and all of that. And then we had the battle in the middle of the season, but there's just been too many filler episodes that it needs to end on a strong note. Yeah. For people to be like, okay, I'm excited for season 3. Yeah. Because season 1 was so strong, and consistent. That's the key here. It was a consistently, good quality show in the first season that people were interested in the season 2. They needed end on a bang for season 2 to have people interested in season 3, I think. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be good.